This is the most amazing cake that you will ever have in your entire life. The love cake. There's nothing in the world like it. And now I'm going to show you how to make it. So here we go. I'm getting ready to do the run through of the wedding cake for my son's wedding. These are the ingredients that we use for the cake. So if you just take a screenshot of the page, you can print it up. But I will leave the recipe down below in the description. Olive oil, Middle Eastern saffron, cardamom seeds that we will pod, organic rose water, organic lemon, baking powder, powdered sugar, white flour, eggs, baker's sugar, and pistachios. You'll also need a dehydrator. You can usually get them under $100. And depending on what size of cake rounds that you're using, depends on how much batter you're going to need to make. I always use 2 cake pans for each 4-layer cake. And then you want to have a cardboard cake base. We're making candied rose petals now. So these are the roses that I'm going to use. Oh my God, they smell so good. They're gonna taste delicious. Next, we want to pull out all the rose petals and just check for bugs because these are organic, so there could be bugs. Don't want those in the cake. Yes, this is very tedious. If any of you know of a quicker way to do this, I would really love to know. The one thing I found is if they have too much egg white on them, they're really thick and very heavy and they're not delicate. So I found that they really need to be just lightly coated. Now petal by petal, they go on the dehydrator. Until I have this full. See what happens if you have too much egg white? So while I'm waiting for my roses to dehydrate, I'm going to cut the parchment paper liners that go in the pans out. The little papers that come in the pans when you get them, I save them and use them as guides. So every time I make cakes, I have my little paper guides. Then you're going to cut them out and make sure they fit. These are going to keep the cakes from sticking to the bottom of your pan. Now you're going to butter the bottom and the sides of the pan, and then just use either the wrapper that comes around the butter or a piece of parchment paper and coat the bottom and the sides evenly. Now take your parchment paper circle, lay it on your buttered surface in the pan, rub it down, and then you're going to butter the parchment paper circle. And again, you're going to use the parchment paper or your butter wrapper, and you're going to buff the butter in so that it is even. Put it on the bottom of your pan and just tap it around to coat the bottom of the pan. You only want to put enough that's just going to coat the bottom. And you don't want to get any on the sides because the cake needs to stick to the sides to rise. So if you get flour on the sides, it's going to sink there. Now it's time to get the cardamom seeds ready. These smell so amazing. If you don't know what cardamom seeds are, they're the strangest thing with a taste you've never experienced. They are so amazing. For this cake, we have to take these seeds and we have to open them up. And then we have to get all the seeds out. And you'll just pod as many as that your recipe calls for, depending on how many cakes you're making. And so one pod gives you about this many seeds. These have been dehydrating for about 2 hours. And, oh, hear that? And then I store my rose petals in a sealed glass container. Now, just a note, I am tripling the recipe, but I'm going to be listing the single recipe. Okay, I'm going to preheat the oven. So there's 3 parts to the batter. There's the oil mixture, the dry mixture, and the meringue mixture. We're going to start with the oil mixture. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to split the eggs into 2 pieces. You're going to put your whites in one bowl and you're going to put your yolks in the other bowl. The whites will make the meringue and the yolks are part of the oil mixture. Very careful not to get any of the yolk into the whites because the meringue will not stiffen if it has anything else in it besides egg whites. It's very temperamental, and the egg should be at room temperature for this. Now you're going to add the specified amounts of water and oil and whisk it up. The cardamom seeds are a little bit large, so I'm just taking the lid to my olive oil and I'm just kind of smashing them just a little bit, not a lot. They break up easily because it's like a lot of little seeds connected together. That goes in there. And then we need lemon zest. Now we need to do the dry ingredients. Cake flour, baker's sugar. It's supposed to be really, really fine sugar. Baking powder. Now we're going to beat the eggs on high until soft peaks form. You don't want the meringue to go flat, so you're supposed to do it in thirds. So I've got a third. And you just want to gently, gently fold it. It's almost like an angel food cake. We don't want our meringue to flatten. This is a very tedious process. And if you don't mix it all the way, you get weird egg white spots in your cake. I hope my son appreciates this. He said, "Mom, the only thing I want for my wedding is the love cake for 125 people." And what did I say? I said, "Okay." Everyone's been trying to talk me out of it. Okay, that looks pretty blended. And then just really slowly. And there's these wonderful things that are supposed to make the cake cook evenly. Okay, this is going in the oven. So your cooking time really depends on the size of your pan. Keep looking through the window and checking it, but if you open the oven door, do it very, very slowly. You don't want your cake to fall. So it says a half a cup. I'm not really measuring it. And a pinch of saffron. That's probably good. Saffron is extremely aromatic, so you don't need much. Now for the amazing saffron rose cream. It sounds like it might be strong, but it's very, very subtle. And because it is in between all of the 4 layers, and it's also the icing, I really make my cream very, very thick. So as soon as the whipping cream gets soft peaks, I slowly strain some of the saffron cream into the whipping cream. And I just do this to taste, so it really just depends on how much saffron you want to taste in your whipping cream. And then you're going to put the whipping cream in the refrigerator for about an hour. It just makes it easier to work with. Now back to the cake. Once the cake has been taken out of the oven and refrigerated an hour, you're going to slice around the edge with a serrated knife. And yes, I am in Vermont right now, making the real wedding cake for my son and new daughter-in-law's wedding. So I'm placing each of the cakes on a cardboard circle that already has the royal icing on it so that the cake doesn't move when I'm playing around with it. Okay, so here is a great trick to cut cakes in half. This is amazing. I put my halved cakes on parchment paper. Then I just started with my saffron cream, layer after layer, stacking the cake on top, more saffron cream, and another layer of cake on top. These were big cakes, 14 inches, and more cream. And you just keep stacking as many layers as you want. And then I just even it out so it's a little more round. But it does not have to be as perfect as this because you are going to be doing a lot of whipping cream. And then the trick to smoothing out the cream is you're going to put cellophane over the top of the whipping cream and smooth it out with your hands. You're going to refrigerate it for a few hours, and then you will take it out right before you're ready to serve it. You'll grind up pistachios and sprinkle those on the top, and then just place all of your beautiful rose petals on the cake however you want. So on the wedding cake for my children, I just used a knife and made some upward strokes to create some texture, which I thought was really beautiful. So you can be creative and do whatever you want with this cake. But it was such a success. And my son and daughter-in-law were so happy. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you make this cake. And if you do, please let me know how it turned out and how much you love it.